What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and I am here to pump you up. I know it's terrible, but it's the best I got. And the sad thing about it is that I even played Hans back in second grade for a school skit, and it didn't go any better. So there you have it. Well, without further ado, we're going to be talking about, yep, you guessed it, the USFL Power Rankings. And really this week, there really isn't anything powerful about it. I mean, right now, things are a little bit bleak and weak in the USFL, and everyone's been taking their shots at the USFL, whether it be about pizza, about their chicken salad, whether it be about no fans in the stands, whether it be about the chips in the football, whether it be about the bad quarterback play, whether it be about the O-line play, whether it be just about anything that people can think of to put out there, even that the XFL is moving forward, that they're meeting, and that they're meeting with agents and telling agents to ditch the USFL because the XFL is where it is going to be at in the future. Everybody is taking their shots at the USFL. And I'm going to do a video more on my thoughts on that. But what I do want to say here right now, we as a football community need to stick together and we need to support this. We need all of the leagues to succeed. And I think that they all can. I don't think we need to live on one side or live on the other side. We need to all come together and just in awe and love and wonder of what it is that we love, and that's football. In all seriousness, though, we really need to support this. And I know what you're saying, you know, Tyler, this isn't the greatest stuff. This isn't this. This isn't that. I understand that. But right now, we need to give them our support, because if you're wanting better football in the future, you need to support the football you are getting now. If you want to see greatness on the field later, you need to support now. What am I saying and what am I meaning? Well, what I'm saying is if you support the stuff now, they know that they can invest more money into the future. Meaning, you know what? The USFL right now couldn't afford to pick up the big guys, couldn't afford to do the Herschel Walker deals. But you know what? If we show them by our viewership and by us sticking to it and being there for the league, that, you know what, they might invest that money later on down the line. And you know what, some of those guys that are sitting and riding the pine, they can actually make money and actually play the game that they love. And that's the other thing too, these guys are getting to play the game that they love. And I know that there's a lot of flaws in what we're getting right now, but remember, it's only week one. These guys have only been together for really around a month. I think things are going to get better. We just need to relax and just take it with a grain of salt. With that speaking, this week, my power rankings, I have a few bases for them, and that's pretty much about it. It's whatever I decide, and that's how I'm going with it. I'm not grading anything. I'm not going through these big grandiose things. I'm just telling you, based upon my eyeballs, what I saw out on the field, this is what I'm giving you, and that is that. And I'll let you on to how this mind works. You don't want to go in there, but I'll at least tell you what's happening inside there. So starting things off, which everybody pretty much has, and I don't know how you could not have them as number 8, and that's the Maulers. Listen, they were terrible. Everything they did was abysmal. It was not good. Wilson really needs to do a better job of managing this team. He not only did a poor job of setting up this team for success, but during the game, put them in bad positions by calling bad plays. I don't think the defense is utterly terrible. I think that they're okay. It's serviceable, but they need this offense to change and to change fast. And I think that this week you're going to see a change in that. I don't think that this is going to be a dynamic offense by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that you're going to see things change this week. I think it'll be a little bit easier for them this week, but they're the bottom. They're it. And the sad thing about it is that they're the ones who everyone's talking about the most, and it has nothing to do with the football product on the field that stunk. It had to do with the food that apparently to some people stunk. So that's where we're at with that. Number 7, this one was a hard one for me, and that's the Stars. I really like the way that the Stars are set up, that they're lined up. But listen, when you lose, you kind of fall into that spot. I think that they've got a few things they need to clean up. I think that really their offensive line is really what's holding them back here from really having a dynamic, fun offense to watch. I love Scott. I love watching him play, but he needs some more time. Holland is a very dynamic player, but the reality of it is that he is not going to be a ground and pound guy. He needs a seam. If you can get this guy seam, this guy is going to be running all over the field, but you need a block for him. And so I think that was really their struggle here. It wasn't really a bad game by them, but I could see this team being better. But where they're sitting right now with the way that they lost, and listen, they had some mishaps and some miscues that put them down really fast early, and it had nothing to do with the offense on the other side of the field. So, speaking of mishaps, do I need to say any more? You know who I'm talking about. It's the Panthers with 9 fumbles. They're sitting at 6. This is a team that really should have beat the snot out of the Gamblers, and if you looked at everything on paper, if it weren't for the turnovers and them turning the ball over and turning points that should have been theirs into points for the other team, that's what happens. This should be a team that we should be ranking up in the top 3 with the talent that they have, with the way that they played. But really, when you make some bad, poor decisions and you fumble the ball as much as they did, and that's pretty much what held them back from winning this game. They ran and passed all over the Gamblers. But listen, if you can't pull it together to pull out the game, you're going to get a big fat loss, and that's what they did. They only scored 12 points, and the reality of it is they could have easily scored over 30 points had they have taken all of their opportunities and jumped on them. Instead, they fumbled the ball 9 times. And thankfully they lost it for a much smaller fraction of the total than that. And moving up to number 5 is the Gamblers. They found out and they figured out a way to win, but it was ugly and it was bad. But they do have some bright spots. Thompson, their running back, I love him. I love the way that he moves. I love the way that he runs the ball. I think if Thorson can kind of figure some things out there, I think that this is going to be a good team. I don't see the ceiling super, super high with them, but with a guy like Kevin Sumlin, he's going to take chances, he's going to take shots, and I think that that's going to keep them in a lot of games. Their defense is a fairly solid defense, but number 5 I think is pretty solid for them. Even I know some of you with them winning, they think that they should be higher, but that's where I've got them ranked right now, and we'll see. This week I think will be a good test for them, but right now I've got that number 5. At number 4 I have the Breakers, and the Breakers are a team that has a really solid defense, led by Bellamy, who deserves all of the credit that he's getting. And real quick, can I just take a moment and just say it is refreshing and it's just nice to see a guy be thankful for the award that he won, but put all of the attention on his teammates and what they did so that he had the opportunity to do that. You just don't hear that and see that very often. And he didn't have to come out and do it. He did it on social media, which means that he actually had to take time out of his day to sit down and figure out what he was going to type and what he was going to type up. And he put it back on his teammates, as opposed to, when they stick the mic, how did you do it today? And, everybody talks about their team, and I think it's genuine, but it was just cool because you could definitely see, that he was just being selfless in that moment. It was really neat. But the Breakers, they've got some few shining spots there. I think that their defense is really good. The offense, they weren't clicking as well as what I think that they should. I think that as things go on, I think that this is going to be a better team. Slaughter, I was expecting a little bit more out of him, and I didn't really get what I thought I was going to get. out of him, and nothing wrong with him or anything like that. I was hoping for a little bit more. Ellis had a good game. I think Ellis is going to be a really nice bright spot for them. I think the Breakers are going to win some games. They're just in the tougher division to where I think that they'll probably be the man left out. But right now, I've got them sitting at number 4. So if that were to be the case, they would definitely be in the playoffs. Now, for our number 3, I've got the Generals. I think that really the Generals did everything they could to try to win that game, and the Stallions just decided that they wanted it more. And a lot of it had, to me, I do not like the dual quarterback setup. I think you need to stick with Johnson. You need to stick with Perez. Right now, if you ask me, Perez is probably not only in the stat book, but by just looking at him on the field, right now, the best quarterback in the league. The guy, had the best stats when you look across the board with everything, was doing really well. And this whole two quarterback system thing there, I'm not really liking. Now, granted, I know Johnson's a really dynamic guy and ran for almost 100 yards in that game. But you can kind of see where Riley's leaning. I think he understands that Perez is definitely his game manager. But when the game's on the line, he put the ball in Johnson's hands, and I think that says something. And I think that that's what's holding him back. And not that they did anything bad. The Stallions were the ones that took it upon themselves to drive the ball down the field late in the game, and that's kind of the difference here. But this is a team, I think, had they been playing really just about any other team, could quite possibly be 1-0 as opposed to having a loss on their schedule, to where I think that this is going to be one of the stronger teams, definitely in the North Division. Now, number 2, which is going to be a surprise to some people, but it's just the way that I see it, the Bandits. Bandits are my number 2 team right now. And yes, they slaughtered the Maulers, but they slaughtered the Maulers. The Maulers were terrible. You come out and you line everybody across the line, and you literally, I think, first 9 plays, all runs. They allowed that defense to pin their ears back and beat them. And that's why I don't hold as much clout in it. Now talking about Jordan Ta'amu. Jordan Ta'amu, to me, is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he showed it. He showed it by his poise. He showed it by getting the ball out of his hands. And yes, the offensive line was struggling, and he was kind of keeping things along in there. Yeah, he made some errant throws, trying a little too hard there at the end of the half to try to push the ball down the field to try to see if they could push it and score. And then, the guy should have caught that ball. It hits his hands, bounces out of his hands, and the defender catches it for a second interception. So, I can give you some of that. But right now, their offense was coming on. They were kind of starting to figure some things out. The defense is solid. We'll see how good they actually are this week. With beating the Maulers like they did, I'm not going to go that this is the best or one of the best yet. I just think that the defense is solid. The offense is going to figure things out. They're going to click. And Jordan Ta'amu is just game 1. I think once the line shores up, they understand things a little bit better. I think that. This is going to be a really nice nice team. As I'm looking at it, their personnel around them definitely, it looked like they were trying to lean heavy on the tight end play a little bit. I'm curious to see how this offense evolves. I think that they're going to be fine because of Ta'amu and the defense and them winning. That's why they're at second right now for me. And number 1, the Stallions. I mean, what can you say? To come back from behind with your backup quarterback and win a game against a really good team that has been going neck and neck, back and forth in a battle like that, you're going to get number 1 for me, and that's just how it is. The Stallions with Good night with Smith. With, when you've got a guy that comes in, Smith, cold off of the bench, come in. Now, granted, he was 0 for 6 to start out, but once he settled down, got in it, man, the guy was on fire. He was running that offense, and I think that this week that's just going to continue. If you ask me, I think you found your quarterback there. He runs this offensive well. The guys seem to respond to him. They've got his attention. He's player of the week on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, and for the league too, being in Birmingham, having the Stallions win the game, having them power rank number 1, it just makes sense all here. And I know that some people are gonna balk at that, this or that, but listen, they found a way to win, and winners win, and that just showed me that, listen, they got a team of winners, and I'm looking forward to see what Smith, what Jamar Smith does going in here this next week, and what he and Skip Holtz have in store for us. I'm excited. I'm excited for week 2. I'm hoping that we get a little bit more dynamic play, and I'll talk more on that. But this league, they really need, after the stuff that kind of came out Sunday night and then Monday night with the Maulers the way they were, and every bad little piece of press that has been attached to that, that Maulers team has kind of taken things down a little bit to where they need a shot in the arm. They need a boost. And so we'll see what happens with it. But just to recap, here's what I got. Number 8, Maulers. Number 7, Stars. Number 6, Panthers. Number 5, Gamblers. Number 4, Breakers. Number 3, Generals. Number 2, Bandits. Number 1, Stallions. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm giving you this week, and those are my picks. As always, I want to know your thoughts down in the comments section, and we'll continue the conversation on down there. All right, guys, listen, I know that you're busy, and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.